team around it. So what advice do both of you have in terms of making the most of the implementation and making sure that video commerce, whether you do it like we've been talking about, whether you go into it in the live arena, what advice do you have for making it successful, Billy?
I think it needs to be part of a unified strategy,
Okay.
right? It can't live specifically with one team and one group and as one event. It's really got to be part of like the fabric of what you're bringing forward as the next step of innovation for the company, and build it into the mindset of growth, right? And that has to happen across creative, across product, across trade. Everybody's really got to be moving in the same direction. I think that's what we see as like really the framework for success.
And Arianne, what's your final thoughts here on that question?
Yeah, I think we talked a lot about like the cross-functional involvement along the way and what's the brief, right? What's the purpose, and making sure you have an aligned vision across multiple functions, like Billy said. I think starting with a relevant angle or use case, so you're really concise at the start, and then you can build on that quickly with kind of, you know, how you build from there. Obviously the insight around who are the external brand partners or who has an interest in building something that has broader value where you can demonstrate that value and do it quickly. And think of it as an extension of your own capabilities, right? This allows us to bring something to market that we ourselves would have to invest quite a bit in to build the capability in-house, right? And then the final part is just leverage the excitement and energy of your teams, because the creativity in a lot of our organizations is so rich and so extensive. And I think when you give the right people an outlet to execute that creativity, the outcomes are really impressive. So that would be my kind of final piece of advice.
I want to ask you a follow-up on that second point, the vetting of the brand partners. How did you actually do that in practice? Like, how did you decide which brand partners you wanted to involve with you on this journey? Was it like an open casting call? Like, hey, come and see what we're going to do here. Who wants to be a part of this? Was it a negotiation? Like, how'd you approach that?
Very, very intentional.
Yeah.
I actually
Good merchants always are intentional too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly.
They are.
I also think that is the key to successful retail media strategy, because we want this to be brand enhancing on both sides. And if you think too much about monetization of your property or real estate, right, your digital real estate, then you kind of allow your brand voice to be subverted by things that maybe aren't the most representative. So I think being really intentional about retail media or, you know, these types of partnerships then allows you to also filter it through your brand voice, which you want to be consistent and you want to be representative of, you know, what you're trying to communicate. So there's always risk, I think, in retail media of the commercial pieces of it or the monetization distracting from the core goal, which is we want our brand to really shine through in the end.
That's the first thing